IVM.
In the middle of all the stuff that we do in this space, right? We forget the fact that it's called the advertising industry. It's called the media and entertainment industry. If you take the word industry aside, we're actually a place which actually helps artists find newer forms of expression, right? And we help monetize that. We help find revenue for it. But to be able to do that, right, from time to time, or rather, as often as we should actually listen to artists and hear what they have to say, and how they think and how they perceive the way creativity needs to be, the way the process of writing and rather telling stories needs to be. And that's one aspect which we don't focus on enough. We will talk about a lot of things. We will talk about all the different aspects of the new ageness and everything else that comes into it. But at the base level of it, what we all do is an industry that is built on a platform of storytelling. And so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of call in someone who I know, who I can only categorize. He's a musician, he's a writer, he's directed a film, he's done so many things, and I find it hard to put him in a box, and I don't think he'll ever allow anyone to put him in a box, which is Ankur Tewari, right? To me, he's an artist, and he finds different forms to tell his stories through different forms of art. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of dig into his mind and kind of understand that aspect a lot more, because a lot of us actually come into this entire industry to just do that, just kind of work around stories, and that's what we're going to do on this episode of Advertising is Dead. I'm Varun Duggirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Satyajit.
Hi, I'm Racheta.
We are from the Open Library Project and we host a podcast called Paperback.
Paperback is a podcast where we engage with stalwarts and experts from various industries, suggesting non-fiction titles that contributed to their journey in a big way.
We've had guests like Anjali Rana, Dr. Marcus Rani, Dr. Swati Lodha, Ambi Parmeswaran, Apurva Damani, and many more on our show Paperback. Find new episodes every Wednesday on IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to Advertising is Dead with Ankur. Ankur, okay. Generally, when I do this part, I say a person's name and I say designation or what they do. You do too many things. So how do I define what Ankur Tewari does?
I like the way you say things as things.
See, if Roshan's listening, he'll give me feedback on that also. Roshan's give me feedback that I say ecosystem wrong. Or is it ecosystem? Things. South Indian problem.
Things. Three. Just say three.
Three.
Oh, now you're improvising.
Yeah.
But you naturally say three.
And a three. Yeah. I say breakfast. Huh? I don't say break. I can't say breakfast naturally. I say breakfast.
So, okay, going back to
the things that.
Yeah. So it's been always a big issue for me to define what I do. My mother asked me a lot of times, "What the hell do you do?" So I've finally found an answer that I'm telling stories in different forms that I can tell stories. Yeah. Whether it's like writing a song or like writing a poem, singing a song, or writing a screenplay or anything. So you just like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Talking.
Yeah.
But primarily I feel that like you express what you feel and to monetize it, people put different tags on it. Yeah. So it's easier to sell.
Yeah.
So a lot of times rely on other people to define what I do.
And people try to put it in different boxes, right? Okay. And now it's gotten even more, if you look at the industry, let's say, okay, this person, even if you say writing, writes for this specific thing, whereas writing is writing. It's like, you can write for anything as long as you really want to, or you can do it.
Yeah, like I was telling someone, like when you're writing a song, then you don't write a song just for people who don't write songs to understand. When you're writing a song, we're making a tune. Yeah. You're not writing, okay, I'm writing a Bollywood song, or I'm writing an independent song, or I'm writing a pop song, or I'm writing a metal song, or I'm writing a jazz piece. You just write.
Yeah.
You feel something and then you express. And then when you've made that, there are people who are very good with Excel sheets. They kind of say, okay, let's put this in this box. Let's put this in this box. Yeah. That's why I feel that the word in the creative field, when they say think out of the box, I think this is what they mean. It's like, just do it. do
You
what you
move to
feel.
the other column in the Excel sheet is literally what it is.
Yeah, because you just doing something and then they have to find a box for you or kind of maybe make a new box if it doesn't exist.
Yep. When you came to Bombay, how many years has it been in Bombay now?
This time around, I came in 2003.
And the idea then was to come in and do music. That was the plan, or was it?
Not
or
this time.
Was it as open ended
The
as?
first time I came in 1998 was a plan. I'd come with a cassette as my demo, and I was very optimistic that within 6 months I'll crack an album. So that's when I'd come to just do music.
Yeah.
It didn't work out really well. Then I went to Delhi, and I was there from 98 to 2003. And that was a time when basically to make rent, to pay your bills, buy a new pager or do all those things. You were just doing things. So I was doing everything. And I started writing. My first job was given to me by this guy called Colonel Kapoor, who had made Fauji. And he needed a kind of a DA assistant, etc. So I was doing production with him. I was writing for him. I was making music for him. I was writing lyrics. Basically, him and I, we were the company. So we were doing everything. You would know that. Like what it is, doing everything, right? Yeah.
It's interesting when you say this, right? When the part you said about writing anything, I've noticed a lot of people when they kind of come in to write, say, okay, I've come in, I'm going to write this specific thing, and I've come in and that's something you notice. A lot of people who come from, let's say, college, want to work in this industry, want to work on things. I want to do this specific thing, and at some point when that doesn't happen, a lot of them don't know how to figure it out, and that's generally a question I've heard. I want to come into Bombay, I want to do X, Y, and Z. That part hasn't changed, has it? Like, you're not going to get exactly what you wanted to do on day one. You might not even get that till day 5, but you will find a lot of stuff to do.
You always do. Like, I feel like that's what our discovery is. What we end up doing is trying to find a medium is what we try and do, right? Like, so somebody is coming to the city to become a singer, ends up becoming a dancer or like a writer or maybe a corporate guy. That's not the point. The point I feel is trying to find your voice. What are you trying to say? What do you have to say is the most important thing. And that struggle for me is more interesting than finding a medium. And that takes time. Like, what do I have to say is what probably is your step into adulthood, right? Because you in school, you were going through things, you were feeling, and then you said, okay, this is what my point of view is. And that's what you look for in every piece of art, film, music, is what is this guy trying to say?
In the time that you've been here, right, have you seen the fact that on two ends? One is, if you look at the entire media space, there were a lot more barriers of entry than there are now. Now it's considerably more options for people to really, if you're a writer, if you're a musician, you have more opportunities now than you did before. Do you see that as in a way that the fact that there was a conversation that there were not enough writers in the space? And obviously, so much content is being created, you have a lot more writers. But that is, like, I personally find that that's not necessarily true, because I don't know how many good writers we still have.
No, see, as you use the word content, that's my biggest problem in today's time, because everything is content. So it's the
most overused word. It's in my designation, but it is the most overused word in.
What's your designation?
Chief Content Officer.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I pity you.
Content Chief, rather. I try to make it cooler by saying Content Chief.
It'll never become cooler because it's got the word content in it. That means it's controlled by the suits.
Yeah.
You need to change that. Because content is what? Like, content, when the word comes, it's like you are in a mall and you are a pickle on the shelf. That's what content is. Art is not that, then, because then it's unique. When you go and see the Mona Lisa, I would travel through a continent, stand in a queue, buy a ticket, and then see the Mona Lisa.
I saw a unique designation on I forgot which company's site, where instead of calling herself, because this content officer thing has become a thing in a lot of agencies, it's called Chief Creation Officer, which I still don't think really helps the case, but I think it's a sly way to avoid the content word.
It's just like I think like when you put content, then it's a bit submissive to the advertising world, to the client, to the thing, because then you're saying, okay, I'm ready to make content for you, and I'm making something that you will be able to easily find a box for. When you're thinking beyond it, when you say I'm chief idea officer, then that idea might not have a box, and they might have to create a box for it. That might end up selling their product even more. But and that's where I feel a lot of problem lies in advertising, and a lot of content creation agencies as well, is because they're not like gamblers anymore. They're cocksure about what they want. They know, okay, this is what I want because this appeals to this demographic, and this goes there, and this, so they know what they want. So when they know what they want, then.
But you can spot a PowerPoint show a mile away, right? It's very easy to spot the fact that this has been done to cater to X, Y, and Z. It's very clearly broken up, and you can also spot a well-written show in that sense.
Obviously, because they're like, my favorite quotation on that is that you can torture a statistic to confess anything.
That is so true.
And that's what people do, is because everyone is trying to please each other, and they're trying to make, okay, this is what you wanted, this is what we've created, but in that...
This is, I find data is the most abused word, because you're trying to find some sort of data to sell what you are doing, right? It's not necessarily the other way around.
But when the writer starts thinking of data, then you're in mess. Then you're in a big mess, because you don't want your writers to think about data. You need them to not actually think. When I write a song, when I write a story, when I'm writing my screenplays, the last thing I'm doing is thinking. And what you're trying to do is to get in a zone where you start feeling more. You have thought through it. You have like done your, all the time you're not writing and not typing. That's when you've done your thinking. That's when you've done your kind of research. All the data points have like floated through your head, and you've done your kind of churning of the ocean. But when you're writing and you're actually putting it down on paper, that's the time that you don't want to think. Then you just want to apply, and then that's what's going to give you good writing.
But there is a thought process there, right? Is the fact that you normally go out, and I know the best way to do it is really go out and experience things, and then that gives you the inspiration to write, is to also use, okay, these are insights someone else has found. Don't get wedded to them and try to only stick to that, but you take inspiration from some small point somewhere and really write on top of that.
Like you don't need to go out to feel inspired. You can read a book. You can see a movie, or you can hear a piece of music, or you can look at a painting. There could be many things, or you could have heard a TED talk for that matter. Something will inspire something, but the point of that is not taking it exactly what
don't
it is.
Follow the, like you said, don't stick to the columns or the boxes on that sheet.
You get what it made you feel, and then you translate that feeling into words. Then it's
like, would you want to write on a blank piece of paper? Would you want to write on a paper which has those the lines preset?
What do you prefer?
I prefer a blank sheet of paper. I find it very unnerving to have that checkered paper, because it just feels very, I don't know. I've never been able to do that.
Boxed?
Yeah. That's actually the word.
I think by the next week you're going to change your designation. Maybe not.
Hopefully. In some time. I will come up with something more interesting, but let me see.
Then
but that's literally what I do. I actually look after the entire. So we talk about content. That's, it's an interesting segue to do, right? Because that's the part which I largely oversee at the company, and I've noticed this fact that, and all agencies now are having their own production / content teams now internally. It ends up being this mix of people who want to have logistical control of what they do. They also want to direct. They also want to be part of the creative process and write and do everything. In that model, and you and I were having this chat before we started recording about the fact that it ends up limiting you in terms of what you can actually do. If you really wanted to write, sometimes having too much logistical understanding actually takes away from what you would write.
Yeah, I think these processes are important. They're very good. But one needs to understand why these processes are in place. And it might not be right, but I have a theory. I'll just start saying maybe it falls into place, or you can edit it out later to make me sound smarter. But right now we're in a very interesting zone. Why I feel we are in an interesting zone is because we are on the cusp of the industrial revolution meeting the digital revolution. And the whole point of the industrial revolution was to create more, right? from handicraft, suddenly you can create 1,000 of those in no time. Machines were coming in, and now the digital revolution is coming in, which is now amplifying it even more. And that's what we're doing. The digital revolution is doing what the industrial revolution did to the handicraft, the thing. So, and that's why I feel is why people put systems. Like maybe as an artist, when they started making in the Renaissance period, they would have probably a different process, and the artists in the industrial revolution had a different process, and the artists in the digital revolution will have a different process.
True.
And that's what we need to discover. And that's what I feel very comfortable when a lot of young kids you meet, they say they don't know what they want to do. And I think it's absolutely fine, because they are a product of the digital revolution, and we're imposing the learnings of industrial revolution on those kids, and they're feeling that pressure and they feel that anxiety. So coming back to what you were saying about roles and things, I feel the best ideas can come from anywhere. What you could practice is your craft, and you can identify a craft that you're liking for this period and practice it, because it only makes it better. So you can identify yourself as a writer, but that doesn't mean that you're going to come up with the best ideas for that.
True.
So you can have a varied set of people working on it. Your producer could give you the best idea, but what you will have control over is your craft. And the person who has the control of the craft is going to be the king. So coming to the point is are you practicing your craft enough? There are so many writers I know who don't write. You mean, they say they're writers, but they've not written a word in past 3 months.
Yeah, it's about honing your craft, right? Like I've discussed this with you many times, that I've been wanting to write something or the other for ages. Unless I actually put my ass on the seat and say I'm actually going to sit and do this, no matter how bad it is, you're never really going to know how bad you are till you actually put it down and see how, and also be honest about it.
So it's a matter of crafting it, right? The idea can't be bad. What happens is what's in your head to what's come to your fingers. There's a discrepancy. It's like seeing a dream, and you want to tell your dream and you realize, oh, that's not that exciting. But like when you saw it, it was really exciting. It made you feel something, right?
It's so true.
So it's just that. When you feel that you want to write something, you felt something. It's had a physical reaction with your body. You got goosebumps, or you felt something in your belly, or you felt something really amazing. And now you want to translate it and put it down on paper. And when you read it, it's not giving you that same feeling. So that means that something has happened from your brain to your fingers, right? And that's what it is. And that's what you would do as a craftsman. And what would make you a good writer is that consistency of what you have felt when you thought about it, and when you're typing it. Usually, I'm sure like Stephen King would end up doing a lot better than me.
Because also Stephen King is another kind of layer.
But he writes, like a writer writes. Like we unfortunately come from a developing nation where these crafts are always seen as extracurricular. So like whether you're a writer, singer, is always the extracurricular. Acha wo ho gaya, ab kya karoge?
That's true.
So it's inbuilt in us. It's inbuilt in us to see it as extracurricular. So we've not practiced our craft enough.
Like one of the best investments I've made in recent times was that I found Masterclass, and I had subscribed for for one course, and then they gave me, because they had done this new thing, they gave me all access, because they gave it to everybody who had even subscribed for a single course. The amount you can actually learn from just hearing, like I've listened to how Dan Brown plans his novels, right? And I was like, that's so interesting, because no matter what you feel his level of book writing is, the amount of information and he's looking at stuff that is like what would end up being theoretical, which someone would have to go to library to read, but you're actually getting it through what is a loosely built fiction story, but you actually get a lot more insight from that, and just really learning from how someone else does it, and which is where a lot of people don't ask enough questions, right? Everyone's worried about asking questions. Oh, will I be judged? If I want to do this way, do I want to show what I've written or how I want to tell a story? If I ask 5 people, what if they
you
laugh
said
at
the right thing. See, that's the key. When you said how I want to tell the story, it's if you really see, like whether it's Stephen King, Dan Brown, or Chetan Bhagat, or you or I, we all have access to the same information. Now, how I tell that same story, or what story do I pick out of it, that's where it's kind of like the craft. It's like that's what why am I reading a book or why am I seeing a film? Is I want to feel there are more human beings around.
Yeah.
So there's somebody who's made me feel like, reminded me I'm a human being. I've been this like
is so true.
robotic like life I'm leading, where I'm not feeling, where I'm trained myself not to feel. I'm moving, chugging along, doing things, and then comes a moment where I feel like crying or laughing or doing something. Just, oh yeah, I'm a human being. Like, and then I move on. So I feel that that's I feel a very important part.
So is it because, and this is I might be totally wrong here, right? Because of the way you just spoke about writing, is that why acoustic largely was your first appeal towards music? Is that where you kind of, did it become a simple way to graduate from writing?
It was more practical. Like I wanted to buy an electric guitar, and I told my father I want a red electric guitar. And I was growing up in a small town in Roorkee, and he's a professor in the IIT, and he's always been very practical. And he said, but if you buy an electric guitar, you need electricity, and there's load shedding in our town, so you won't have electricity all the time, so you won't be able to play it all the time. So
don't you find it's one of the best things to grow up in a small town and then come to a city, because it gives you so much perspective?
I don't know what's happening now, but earlier, yes, because you grew up in a bubble of your own, and within a small town I was inside the campus, so it was another kind of a different zone, so it was quite lovely. But yeah, so my father said like there's no electricity, so why do you want an electric guitar? So I got an acoustic guitar, and that was my lifelong friend.
And if I look at your journey through music as well, right? I mean, you've done so many very different things. I remember listening to when Billi Ka Bachcha came out, and I found that so interesting, because I realized that for the longest time there weren't enough Indian, and although you do find them now, because I have extreme knowledge in that now over the last 2 years, there weren't enough newer versions of kid songs that weren't. This didn't feel patronizing. This felt like it was just fun. It was like a bachon ka party song.
Yeah, I feel like what I felt was like I definitely, with my nieces and nephews, I felt that I didn't have songs to sing for them, so I was making up songs for them. I didn't want to sing them songs that already existed. I want them to think that it's been specially made for them. So I was making up songs, and I realized that there should be songs that should be there that are, they're there, and they're not trying to tell them to be nice kids. They just like, I wanted to write songs in which they can let them be. So I did an album with Sony Music called Bachcha Party and Bachcha Party 2. And both the albums, the idea was to not, like, one song is about a kid who doesn't like to do homework. One song is about a kid who wants to reclaim the Sunday from the parents and wants to do what the kid wants to do and not what the parents want the kid to do. Billi Ka Bachcha was a kid who wanted to steal a Billi Ka Bachcha from the mother, and like, so it was not about, like, it was about what you would want as a kid, and sometimes it doesn't fall in line with what your parents want. So yeah, the whole album was about that.
And from that to, if I talk about A Gully Boy, and congratulations, you're India's...
That's good for now. We're hoping that we make it to the top 5.
India's official nominee for the Oscars. The word music supervisor is something I had never heard of in Bollywood. There was music director, lyricist, but there was never this term, because I don't think we traditionally don't curate music for a movie, right? We pick different...
An example of out of the box. This is what I meant. Like, you don't need to follow a convention. So the story had happened. Zoya wanted to write a story and set in the hip hop world. I had worked with Nazy and Divine, both of them, during my MTV days. She said, do you know them? I said, yeah, I know them. I'm in fact doing a gig with both of them. You should come and watch. She started following their music. She came for the gig. She said, I want to meet them. I said, okay, I'll call Nazy, set up a meeting. She said, this is working out really fine. Why don't you just do the whole music? I said, but I don't create hip hop. She said, but just supervise it, just do it. I said, okay, fine, I'll supervise it. We'll do it. So it was coming from a space that I personally felt, and she felt, that if you're making a movie about the hip hop scene in Bombay and these kids exist, and they should make the music. But they don't know how to make music for movies, and we don't know how to make music with people who don't make music for movies. So I said, I'll be the bridge. what do we call that guy? Okay, like internationally you Google and you find, okay, that's a music supervisor. Okay, I'll do that, whatever that is. But it was not coming from, okay, let me try and be. What I did in the movie was not what a conventional music supervisor does. Because internationally, because of the copyright laws, you license a lot of music. So internationally you license music, and the music supervisor would get that piece of music. He would be the person, or she would be the person who would say, okay, in Forrest Gump, we want to use Elvis Presley's Hound Dog, and this is where it will play. So I will contact, I think Elvis is with Sony, so I'll contact the Sony team, and then I'll get that thing, I'll crack that deal, and I will. There, a lot of music supervisors also are lawyers, or they have lawyers in their team, so that's what they do. Here what I did was design the music palette of the film. So
also make it seamless with the story flow, right? I don't think any part of, because that's what if you look at tradition, and having this chat with someone the other day saying Bollywood doesn't make musicals. We make a movie and we intersperse it like with breaks of songs many times. It's not necessarily taking the story forward in most cases. Not technically musicals in many ways.
Yeah, see that part Zoya and Rima did. They are both very musical, and they both were writing, and I was giving them a lot of demos and a lot of like scratches and things, and they were listening to it and they were incorporating it with the thing. I was involved while they were writing the film. So it was seamless from their end. What I tried to do is have a musical kind of progression with it. Like I don't know if you ended up seeing the film, but there's a part where his dad is getting married. The protagonist's dad is getting married. He's coming and he listens to he wants to shut away from what's happening in his real life, and he puts his headphones on, and a song comes on, and that's where I felt that we should get a song which is has an old world charm to it, is musical and yet has a new act on it. So I think we took a song by ASAP, Rocky ASAP, and then we got and Rod Stewart is singing in it. So I licensed that track, and then when our protagonist starts to make the song that he's making with one the other actor that Kalki was playing, at that part I use similar chords to that song. So the story that kind of binds that. So that's a musical story I was looking for. So where he probably heard that kind of song, and when he creates, he takes inspiration from that and writes a song in a similar scale. So that's not a story that's part of the plot, but there's a musical story going on through the film as well.
True. And that also kind of, it's an interesting piece, because we've traditionally always looked at music in movies a certain way, right? And this kind of adds that layer where I see that, and I see, for instance, the song you did in Kota Factory, which was part of the series. And when I see these newer sets, so I wouldn't say newer sets, I mean, I would say a new age mindset of creating, for lack of a better word, content or stories. I think I will use stories because of... You
can use content.
I will use content.
But I think Kota Factory was more than content.
I
would classify it as more than content, because see, what you feel is, are these guys having fun? And I personally feel there are no rules to have fun. Like you should know the rules and you can break the rules. Are you having fun while writing it? Are you there's no practical reason why you should be doing this podcast. If in practical life you're wasting your time. But you're here, you're having fun. So you're having fun. So then there are no rules. It doesn't fit in the machine life.
True.
It's part of a human life. So that's what I felt that they were doing in Kota Factory when they read the script out to me, and then they came narrating.
It's lovely series.
Every piece of work that's been made, whether it's like Gully Boy or Kota Factory or anything, everything is full of flaws. There are flaws, but did they have fun making it? Man, yes. And that's what I felt in Kota Factory as well. They were having fun. They were so excited about the way they're going to shoot it. They were going to tell these stories and things.
It was in black and white, and I was initially I was is there something wrong? Is there a reason why it's black? I'm like,
but they had their reasons and they were convinced about it. So you don't now go and telling them what to do. They are having fun while doing it. And if they're having fun, that's why I love a lot of these TikTok stars, for instance. Now you can't be the one telling them this is right, this is wrong, oh, this is so cheap, or this is so nice or bad, or whatever it is. They're having fun, man. And if they're having fun, they're reminding a lot of other people that you can have fun too, and you're humans. So that's why I think that I personally, when I see a lot of these TikTok stars, for instance, cringe. And I say, what the hell? It's like really not my taste. And it's, but they're working, right?
Yeah.
They're working, and I would feel they are better than content again.
Yeah.
Because there are these guys who are finding freedom. I'm not, if at all I'm liking some pieces of that cringe-worthy material, it's not because of the material.
Yeah.
It's what I'm connecting with is, here's this person who's finding freedom through this.
Yeah.
Here's this like a housewife in a small town who's dancing with like, no holds barred, and it's like, now that feeling is amazing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
What she's doing is, for me, is shit. But how she's doing it is mine.
Yeah.
God, like there's no craft in it, but there is freedom.
Yeah. Yep. The word fun is interesting, right? And the next part of actually what I wanted to discuss was actually about people who want to work in this space. But I do know we need to go in for a break. I've been getting timeout signals from afar.
Like Shlok, by the way.
Shlok is
in a yellow hoodie.
Yeah, in his yellow hoodie. So we're going to go in for a break and be right back with Advertising is Dead.
Hey everybody, you know what we've got? We've got another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you haven't been following us on YouTube, please do a search for IVM CCTV and get a peek inside what's going on in the studio. You can see excerpts from Cyrus Says, Naveen from Keeping It Queer, Akash from Varta Lab. There's stuff that we've done with Feeding 10 Billion. There are a whole bunch of little videos over there. Give it a watch and let us know what you think about that. This week on Cyrus Says, it's a podcast crossover as host of our new show, GBCD Farhad Karkaria and Sunitra Lairi join Cyrus to talk about the meaning of being queer, how to defy labels, and how their podcast came about. Also, speaking of GBCD, Farhad and Sunitra in their show delve into the family stories and recalling what it was like to navigate queerness as a kid. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by two guests, Ankur Tewari and Swapnil Bhaskar. They're the co-founders at Goldwise. They discuss the new features at Goldwise and transitioning from regular to direct mutual funds. On Golgappa, Trupti is joined by Mahesh Ane, award-winning cinematographer who is known for his work on Swades. He talks about the ups and downs that he encountered along the way in the film industry. On Ganatantra, Alok and Saryu are joined by Smitana Saikia of Flame University, Pune to talk about the history and impact of the NRC list and how it has caused marginalization in the Northeast. On another crossover, this time on What a Player, Mikhail and Siddhartha are joined by Sivram Parmeswaran, the host of the podcast Football Shutball. They talk about the thrill of watching football and following a club. On Mr. and Mrs. Binge Watch, Janice and Anirudh look back at the best and worst moments of the 2019 Emmy Awards. On Advertising is Dead, Varun is joined by singer-songwriter Ankur Tewari, who talks about how artists find new forms of expression and monetize their work. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
Welcome back to Advertising is Dead. Ankur, you mentioned the word fun, right? And I think
before we get into this, I would like to ask you, how did you come up with this name, Advertising is Dead? Because in the conventional way, in conventional contents, people, what would the advertising people say? Like, it's very negative.
Yeah.
Advertising is dead. Like, what are you trying to do?
So, it's actually the antithesis of what my day job is, right? My day job is literally to make sure advertising stays alive.
Okay, that's interesting. Why would you want that?
Why would I want it to stay alive? So that I can continue to do what I do in life is actually the thing. But it's the reason why. So we thought about different names, right? We thought, what do we call it? Do we keep it a random name? Do we? And the whole point was the fact that the way things used to function even 10 years ago, it doesn't exist anymore. Even if it does exist, it's dying. And that's why the way advertising has always worked has died. We have a whole new animal in front of us. That was
a new box.
New box. We've built a whole new box.
Lovely.
We've jumped out of the old one into a new one.
Yeah. Are you still calling it advertising?
We're still calling it advertising.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Although we try to shield it with many things, but if I have to be honest, it's still advertising, right? People try to say, oh no, we're not doing advertising anymore. We're in the content business now. Some people say, no, we're in the data business now.
I mean, you're still selling soap.
Yeah.
At the end of it. That's what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Because what
you're finding interesting ways to sell soap.
You're taking inanimate objects which have only, how do I put it? Which have non-dreamy value. They have actual value. They have value for people, but it's not necessarily something that you would associate with having layers or having a character, and you're actually helping it build that character.
I mean, that kind of advertising had to die. I feel that if I would complete the statement, it would be advertising is dead, but storytelling is not.
True.
And that's what you're trying to do, is I feel with your day job and Glitch, I think what you're trying to do is to make sure that the fun in advertising remains. Right?
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
You
fun
give
creator.
me a better
Fun
definition
creator.
of what fun creator.
Then instead of content, what is that?
Chief Creator Officer.
Yeah, Chief Fun Officer.
Chief Fun Officer.
CFO.
I think I'm just going to stick to co-founder. I think that has literally been. Speaking of co-founder, there is this company which we should talk about, which is called Commune, which you, Roshan, and Gaurav started.
I mean, you are very much a part of it.
I'm very much a subliminal part of Commune in many ways.
A very important part of it, because as you feel that advertising is a very important part of any product.
Yeah.
And if you see Commune as a product, what we create out of Commune, we hopefully is not content or product, but Commune itself is a product.
Yeah.
And our first gig, you were there. With a camera.
I remember.
Shooting.
I was shooting it.
What we were doing, which is form of advertising.
Yeah.
What we were trying to do was make sure that like-minded get together and the word goes out in the market that there are these like-minded people who are having fun. Do you want to join that fun?
Yeah. Who literally want to stand there and tell stories to each other. And I still talk to some people about the early days of storytellers, right? And how it started off and how I think some of us end up coming every week, every time, and trying to think of newer stories to tell because
you only ended up telling the story second or third time, right? Or did you do the first time?
One story I told was me being a bad storyteller, which was I think in the Encompass office. One was good where me and Pooja told a story together.
Nice.
Where we kind of that was fun because it was you were just playing along. I passed on the good part of the story to Pooja so she could have more fun with that.
I mean, that's what we are doing when we started doing Commune was have fun.
Yeah.
And how many people can we find to have fun together? Is what we're doing. Hopefully and nicely, the numbers are growing very nicely. Earlier, I think like 10-15 of us were having fun. Now, more than a bunch are having fun together.
And it was a space that people said was dying, right? I know I'm using the dying thing a lot in this conversation right now. Is the fact that, because live meant just music. There were so many more aspects, and I remember that's where it kind of started from.
I mean, it started not from the part of live. It started from the point of view of where do you want to go? The conversation, I remember the early conversation was, I'm sitting at home, I've come back from work, I want to go somewhere, where do I want to go?
Yeah.
And
you literally had no options.
You had options. You had options to go to places where you could tune out. And Roshan had put it this way very nicely, like you would go to a bar and get drunk, or you would go to a rave and consume some stuff, or go to places where you can forget your life.
Yeah.
And that was not exciting enough. And I was going through a phase where I had played in a lot of clubs around the country, almost all of them. And people would come there to like either get drunk or, hook up with their partners or and okay, by the way, there's a band as well. So there was a lot of chatter that was going on. It was so I started writing songs that was louder than the crowd.
I remember you would sing Lifebuoy ad in between your songs.
Yeah, because I would sing like Bajaj or Lifebuoy just to like engage with them again. That's what he used to. Come on, let me put some stuff in. Let me stand up is working better than comedy. Let me also be funny. All of that was happening. So I basically realized that I'm now not doing what I was doing. I was writing songs because I wanted to express what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
I was feeling angry. I'm not expressing it. I'm singing rock and roll just because I want to make you dance. So at that point when Roshan and Gaurav and I met and we started talking about how about creating live events in which you don't have to tune out, you can tune in. So what do we do with that? Should we do theater? That's nice, but Prithvi is doing a kick-ass job, so why should we try and outdo that? Should we do something else? And Roshan said, okay, why don't we tell stories and why don't we like recite poems? Why don't we do book readings? And that's where it started. There'll be 10-15 of us. It doesn't seem like it'll be like in a club you go there 300 people 400 people. That's not looking likely. Okay, let's see where this goes. And let's see whether we're having fun. So who are the people who we can call who can have fun with us.
Yeah.
Your name was on the list. So you were called. And I said, okay, but we need to tell more people about it. So let's call Varun and let's call Rohit and let's get some cameras in and let's shoot this and let's have fun. Let's shoot it and let's tell the whole world we're having fun.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where it started. And even now, although storytelling becomes the primary part of it.
There's beat poetry. There's so many.
Yeah, there's beat poetry. There's poetry. There's like book readings. There's play readings. There's theater. There's dance. Like the whole idea is, can we create an experience where you can tune in?
Yeah. I remember coming to Spoken Fest this year, right? And the first year, and I remember the second year, and what for me is exciting to see is the fact that because it was always this perception that, oh, this is a older person's thing, like, older people want to go and watch these things, the young people don't enjoy this, but that crowd was predominantly young, and which is the most, I would say, that is the best part of what, when you see it visually, it also gives you hope that there is that part has
that I feel is a problem, and that's a big problem in advertising as well. Is who tell you things. No, but they are not part of the group. They don't know.
There is this category, and this is going to become, I think, weekly. Last week also I have done this rant about culture curators for brands. Right? I honestly feel there are few who are very good at it, but there are a lot of people who are really bad at it. And the problem is the fact that the insights you give about what really popular culture is right now, especially when it connects to the youth, are built on like very fragile data. Like young people on their phones, so they definitely don't want to go out. Like it's as basic as that, right? But you're not going deeper and really trying to understand. Like if you ask a millennial or I'm not a millennial, I'm borderline, but or a Gen Z person, and you actually understand from them how they see the world and what they like to experience. That's literally where you start. Why would you not do that? And even if you want to make a PPT, start with that. No?
Yeah, you start with that and you listen to them, right? You don't try and impose your thought in that. Like you don't try and torture that statistic to suit what you want to say.
True.
You like, how many times have you met people who actually listen to what you've said? They're just trying to find a gap where you stop talking and they can start talking.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of the people in the advertising field, they are hooked on to that feeling.
But do you think things have changed in recent times with the spread of the, I don't know, with the way the platforms have evolved? Do you see agencies on one side, but I mean brands for that, in that sense, understanding that they need to deal with things like these a little differently than they always have?
I mean, individually, yes, but not collectively, because the person who's still signing the check is not that guy. I feel like because India has changed so rapidly, a lot of the people in powerful positions are still trying to save their jobs.
Yeah.
And they're not opening their mouths where they need to open it. And they're not saying things that they feel.
Yeah.
They're saying things so that collectively everybody agrees in the room. And as I say, like if everybody agrees in the room, it's something wrong.
Yeah.
And 99% of times when you go in conference rooms where people are sitting, there are no heated arguments. Somehow everyone is in agreement and somehow everyone is in tune. I'm part of this tribe. I know it. I'm feeling you. And
that is not correct for our conference rooms in the Glitch office. That is the exact opposite of how our conference rooms
people
are.
Getting killed and beaten up, then you're doing a good job.
They're throwing stuff at each other, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there are no like people who are believing in the point of view and defending their look at the arguments that are there, even online and on TV.
Yeah.
The word of the debate word has changed completely. Yeah. And it's not about defending a point anymore. It's about bringing the other person down.
Yeah.
So if I can discredit Varun and say that he is not intellectually superior, then your point automatically goes down. And that's what's happening around in the corporate scene in all sorts of debates. I'm like, I really miss a good debate where I would go and I would make a point and you would make a counterpoint.
Yeah.
I would love it if your counterpoint is even better.
Yeah.
And then I can counter it with something like even more interesting. That's not happening.
I blame news channels for this.
News channels are going there because again, it's part of the same system.
Yeah.
It's part of the same system. News channels or conference rooms, they're all the same. In news channels more because you're seeing it.
Yeah.
But when you're in the office, you're going through the same thing.
So now if I'm a young person who's, let's say, finishing college, who's just going to, let's say, final year of either the mass comm or forget even mass comm, I'm just going to get out into the big bad world, and I want to work in the media entertainment space. When I see all of this, I'm at some point when I see all this, I am a little unnerved. Saying, okay, how do I even get in here? What do I do? There seems to be a lot happening. Am I even good enough? These are the kind of questions I've heard a lot of, kids in college and etc. kind of either write in or talk about. What would you say? I mean, what should one do when they come into this industry? What?
I can just tell you how I look at it. It's not a mantra or anything. I personally feel if you're feeling unnerved, it's a good sign because then you intend to make it or not make it. Like there's a thing, I want to succeed.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge section of people who are completely indifferent. Yeah. They'll just like follow the rut and they'll just get into the system, part of the machinery, the industrial machinery. So if you're feeling unnerved, that's a great sign. Yeah. What I usually end up doing is I ask myself an honest question. What do I want out of this? What do I want out of my life? What do I want out of this job?
Yeah.
What do I want out of what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
If you can answer that question honestly, I think you'll find the answer. A lot of times because of peer pressure, because of parental pressure, because of other things, you answer that question, you lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel a lot of people go wrong. Because a lot of times you're trying to be a good son or a good daughter, or you are, trying to be a good friend. You want the image to be squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Happens with actors a lot of times. They come to the city. 99% of people come to the city to become famous, but they have told themselves they've come to become actors, and that's not true. If you concentrate on being famous, then you can become famous. Then do that.
Yeah.
If you've come to become an actor, then you'll not get famous. You'll become an actor.
True.
And that will give you happiness. So I've come to become rich. I want to be rich. I want to be an artist. I want my work to be known for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I think if you can answer that question honestly and follow up with that and put that, this is what you said and this is what you're searching, then you can go down that path. Probably after a few years, you can re-examine it and say, maybe that was not the right path. Yeah. So to hell with it. Now I'll try this. And then ask yourself the same question and write it down and simplify it. I feel like that's where, at least that's how I do it. And
have fun while you're doing it.
That's when you want to have fun because that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Then you'll have fun. You might not have money, but you might have fun. Or you might have a lot of money, you might not have time, but you're having fun. That's your kick.
Yeah.
So you answer what's your kick. If you're honest with that, I think it usually works out.
Yeah. And also it's a simple fact, right? Is that you might come into, like you said, do one thing and you realize that while you're doing that job, you find something else which you genuinely enjoy a lot more and you feel that it doesn't matter. I came here to be, let's say, an actor, but I realize I'm a much better, AD. Yeah. I know it's the flip side that happens generally. I've become an AD so I can become an actor, but it is...
I don't get the point. A lot of people who come to the city, they want to be directors, but they are trying to be ADs.
Yeah.
It's like really, we are not brave enough to say what we want.
Yeah.
Like, you meet people who say, I'm an aspiring singer. Yeah. So then meet me when you're a singer. Because of what you like, if you stop aspiring, just be it. You can be a bad singer.
Yeah.
And you can keep on getting better at it.
Yeah.
But then just say confidently you're a singer. You're not the top of the class, or I want to be a director, then direct.
Yeah.
Then pick up the camera and direct. Then what are you waiting for?
That's actually true. Aspiring singer does sound wrong when you think about it.
Or aspiring director.
Yeah.
Like if you were an aspiring director in 90s, I could still understand because filmmaking is a collaborative medium. But now you have the phone with you, you have the whole world with you. You can just then pick up the camera and direct.
Yeah.
Get a set of people. If you can't mount a film in zero budget, and you literally need zero budget now to mount a film, You don't need a 16mm camera or a 35mm camera. You don't need to buy a film.
You need a phone,
man,
and a couple of friends.
Yeah, or maybe not even that.
Yeah, you can make a film.
Depends on the script.
You can make a film. Yeah.
Totally depends on the script. Like that was the Dogma movement in Denmark.
Yeah.
Which was all about this. Like, let's just make films. If you're a filmmaker, make films. If you're a writer, write.
Yeah.
If you're a singer, sing. If you are an actor, act.
Yeah.
If you want to be a politician, then get into politics. Then don't like faff and beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Just get to the point.
Yeah. And I think there is no better way for me to, because I don't think that this conversation goes beyond that, right? Because that's literally the end point. If you're authentic to yourself, and and not try to faff to yourself, which is I think the worst thing to do.
All of us end up doing that most of the times.
Yeah.
Say for instance, if I do something that's successful, I make a song that's very successful. Now I have classified myself as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Now I'll keep on trying to do that.
Yeah.
After a while, I'm bored of that. I don't even like writing songs anymore.
Yeah.
But that's what's running my life.
Yeah.
That's what's getting me the money.
Yeah.
But I'll keep on doing that till I die.
Yeah.
And I realize, oh shit, now I'm dying.
Yeah.
I should have just quit at that time and tried something else.
Yeah. Which is maybe what Quentin Tarantino's been talking about all these years, right? He wants to stop when he can, before he gets bored of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would he make a film like that? That would be death. Why would he make a film if you don't want to make a film?
Yeah.
A lot of people are making films to get laid. So then get laid. Like, go to a club and hook up with a person you want to hook up with.
Yeah.
Don't try and make films. It's really, I don't understand that.
That is that's actually
You know what I'm saying?
But also people do really weird things to attract the opposite sex or the same sex.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people are doing things because they're not answered the first question honestly.
It's not for the actual reason you do it for.
Yeah, a lot of people are writing their Oscar speeches before they made the films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they want to be famous, they want to be seen, but they think that this is what I do, then I'll be seen. Then stick to the point.
Yeah, just be authentic and don't faff to yourself.
And authentic is beyond judgment.
Yeah.
Like, I have full respect for people whose craft I don't agree with. And I don't like what they do, but they are so authentic. They're there doing what they do.
Yeah. This is part towards the end of every episode we do. It's called the humans of advertising. It doesn't matter because we all live in the world filled with advertising. So it doesn't matter if
especially
you work
Bombay, because it gets so tiring, man. Like, you enter the city, there's text everywhere attacking you.
Yeah.
You A, everyone is obsessed with selfies.
Yeah.
And B, everyone
I
is
don't
obsessed
get that. I still don't know what the angle is for a selfie. I cannot figure it. I find it very tricky.
India's obsessed with selfies. Like, I find it disgusting when I go to an airport. I was in Delhi, I was going there, and you come down the escalator, they have made somebody stuck stickers with feet that take you to a point where there's a board that says selfie point, and you take a picture.
You've seen
that somebody's funded that. It's a government that's funded that.
This is, I think, BuzzFeed listicle, which shows people who've taken selfies at the weirdest places. This guy went to a funeral, took a selfie. The dead body is in the background. I'm like,
wow, that's dark.
that guy's really in a weird space in his head.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the part you were saying that it's going to end this.
Yeah,
Let's end this.
Yes. Before we go into weirder places. So there's part which we do call humans of advertising, right? It's literally me asking you random questions about yourself. What can you whip up in an instant?
A rhyme? Whipping up a rhyme is no crime.
You read a lot.
Yeah, I do.
What's the last book you enjoyed?
The book that I'm reading right now, Rachel Joy's Music Shop. It's about this store with this guy who he refuses to sell CDs and cassettes. He only sells vinyl, and he has this superpower that he can see people and tell them, "This is the song you should hear."
That sounds quite cool. Listen to podcasts at all?
Yeah.
What's your podcast of choice?
I love Revisionist History, Song Exploder. These two are my go-to all the time. I love them.
We do a music recommendation part, but I'm going to open it up to you, saying who do you say that is an artist people don't listen to enough?
I actually have no idea what people are listening to, so I don't know.
Or who should people listen to?
Like, what I like, for instance, day before yesterday, the estate of Leonard Cohen dropped Gold, which is part of his album that's going to come in a few days. I downloaded it on Apple Music.
Yeah.
and I'm waiting for the album to pre-order it.
Yeah.
So now it's going to come, but that 1-2 minute piece has like been ruling my last 3 days.
And why will advertising not die?
Advertising will die when humans are dead. Yeah, but because we like stories, and we like stories and we like to consume, and we curiosity about what's that thing about. I think that's why it'll not die.
Thank you so much for doing this.
This
was fun.
Yeah, it was sweet. Nice.
A lot of segues, which is always the best way to have a podcast conversation.
We did segue.
We segued I think we went into multiple different... Yeah, Shlok is nodding his head in that.
Shlok is going to edit this.
Yeah, he's going to edit out all of this part of it. Yeah, that's it for this episode.
Sweet. Lovely.
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे पॉडकास्ट लगते हैं. नाम है फुटबॉल शुटबॉल.
Presenting Football Shortball, a show about 3 friends discussing our favorite game over a beer. Sometimes 3, maybe even 5. Hi, I'm Shiva, and with me are my 2 sidekicks, Gaurav Sapre and Karthik Iyer.
Sidekick? You mean like Batman's Robin or Van Persie Robin?
No, I mean like Alexis Sanchez, but with a little more skill than just playing the piano.
Ha! Just shows how the best players at Arsenal are mere bench warmers at United.
Oh, thank you, Iyer. But you're a Fulham supporter, so whenever you say anything to support me, I question my beliefs.
Just like how Griezmann would say, एक बार मैंने जो decision ले लिया तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता.
Banter aside, we will talk match reports, transfer rumors, top controversies, fantasy football picks, and so much more. So grab a beer and tune in to Football Shootball every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Careers in the new podcast series presented by Accenture, and I'm your host Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay. In this podcast series, we'll get you the latest and greatest in the world of technology that's shaping the future of business as we know it. We're talking intelligent platforms, cloud, AI, blockchain, extended reality, and a whole lot more. Every fortnight on Wednesdays, we'll have for you a hot topic with expert speakers from Accenture talking about top trends in the space, how these are changing the world and creating growth across industries. And more importantly, we'll tell you how you can learn more, build your skills and expertise to grow and stay relevant in your career. Episodes out on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcast from.